1981, researchers filmed 60 ordinary people walking down a New York City sidewalk. Then they showed the tape to 12 men in prison, all convicted of assaulting strangers. One question, which of these would you pick? The prisoners didn't hesitate and they agreed. They had never met, they were watching people walk, and they were reading something real. Right now you're telling yourself the same thing everyone tells themselves. Not me, I'm not weak. Here's the problem with that: weakness is not what gets scanned for. In the study, what separated the two groups wasn't size or age or strength. And when we move from the street to the people who work on you emotionally, it gets stranger. The person who gets picked is very often the most capable person in the room. Let's stay with the tape for a second, because the details matter. The people rated as easy targets moved differently, not worse, differently. Some took steps too long or too short for their own height. Some lifted their feet up and set them down instead of swinging them forward. Some moved an arm and a leg on the same side together instead of opposite sides. And in some, the arms seemed to drag the body along instead of the center leading. None of that is weakness. It's just a body that isn't fully organized around itself. 30 years later, another team ran a sharper version of the same idea. 47 inmates in a maximum security prison watched clips of people walking. The inmates who scored highest on the cold, manipulative side of psychopathy were the most accurate. Not the most violent ones, the most calculating ones. And they were the ones most likely to say the walk was why. So this is not a talent, it's a skill, and some people practice it. Now here's what I want you to sit with. If a stranger reads that much in 8 seconds of video, imagine what someone reads in 8 months. That's the street. Emotional manipulation works on a different signal. And here I want to be honest with you about what we actually know. There is no clean study that says manipulators hunt kind people. That claim gets repeated a lot. What we do have is decades of clinicians describing the same pattern from their offices. And the pattern is not the doormat, it's the person with a working conscience. Think about what a conscience actually does. It makes you check yourself first. Something goes wrong, and before you look outward, you look inward. That reflex is the whole reason people trust you. It's also the handle. Because if you check yourself first, blame can be handed to you, and you'll hold it. You won't hold it because you're gullible. You'll hold it because you're honest. A person without that reflex simply drops it. It doesn't stick to them. So the trait isn't a flaw, it's a load-bearing wall of who you are. Which is exactly why the advice "just stop being so nice" never works. You're not going to remove your conscience, so the answer has to be somewhere else. There's one behavior that shows up early, and you probably do it today. Apologizing for things that aren't yours. Someone bumps into you and you say sorry. The coffee comes wrong and you say sorry before you say anything else. On its own it means nothing, it's a habit and a common one. But watch what it communicates in the first 10 minutes of knowing someone. It says, "I will absorb friction. I'd rather take the hit than let this get awkward." That is genuinely useful information, and most people never even notice you did it. Someone who is looking for it notices immediately, because it answers their real question, which is not, "Are you weak?" Their real question is, "What happens when something goes wrong between us?" And you just told them, you said, "I'll handle it, even when it isn't mine." Keep that in mind, because in a minute you'll see how it gets tested on purpose. Now the part that surprises people most, and it's not about you at all. Ask anyone who got out of one of these, and they can name the month it started. It's almost never a random month. It's a month when their footing was gone. A move to a new city, a new job where nobody knows you yet. A breakup, a death, a year where the people who knew you well were suddenly far away. You weren't fragile in those months, you were unwitnessed. There's a difference, and it's the whole difference. A person with 10 people around them gets 10 reality checks a week for free. Say something strange on Tuesday, and 3 friends raise an eyebrow by Friday. Take those people away and nothing corrects. Every version of reality survives. So the target isn't a personality type, it's a person in a gap. Which means it can be you at 30 and not you at 32. It also means the question isn't what's wrong with me, it's where was I standing. That should be a relief, it's also a warning. Because the gap doesn't only happen by accident, sometimes it gets built. Here's the move that almost nobody sees while it's happening. The first work isn't done on you, it's done on the people around you. And it never arrives as an attack, it arrives as concern. I don't think your friend likes me, I don't want to say anything but the way she looked at me. Your brother is great, he's just very negative about us, have you noticed? Nobody has said a bad word, nothing has happened you could point to. But now, every time you see that friend, there's a small piece of static in the room. Do that 10 times with 10 people, and you don't lose anyone dramatically. You just start seeing them less, and you'll believe it was your choice. That's the part that stings later. It felt like a schedule problem. And it works because each individual comment is too small to argue with. If you objected, you'd sound paranoid, so you don't object and the next one lands. 6 months in, your reality has exactly one source left. And that source has been talking to you the entire time. So here's the test. Not do they say bad things, but am I seeing fewer people? Long before anything big is asked, there's usually something small and slightly off. A favor that costs you a little more than it should. A plan changed at the last minute. A request that makes you go, that's a bit much but fine, it's not worth a fight. That sentence, it's not worth a fight, is the one being tested. And there's real research underneath this, from 1966. Researchers asked people to answer a few questions about household soap, small, harmless. Days later, they asked the same people for something enormous by comparison. Among those who said yes to the small thing, 53% said yes to the big one. Among those approached cold, 22%. The small yes more than doubled it. Nothing was threatened. Nobody was pressured. That's the uncomfortable part. It isn't a trick. It's how consistency works in all of us. Once you've said yes, saying no later feels like admitting the first yes was a mistake. So the small request is never really about the favor. It's a measurement, and whatever you do the first time sets the price of everything after. Which brings me to the thing I actually wanted to tell you. We started with the idea that targets are weak. I want to end somewhere else. Think about what someone doing this actually needs from a person. They need someone who solves problems because there are going to be problems. They need someone who takes responsibility because responsibility has to land somewhere. They need someone whose word other people believe because credibility can be borrowed. And they need someone with something worth taking: time, money, calm, access, a reputation. Now read that list again and tell me it describes a weak person. It describes the person everyone else leans on. The one who stays late, the one who gets called when something breaks. The one who, when there's a mess, asks what did I do wrong before asking who did this. That's not a victim profile, that's a resource profile. And that reframe changes what you do next, which is why I saved it for the end. If you think you were chosen for being weak, the fix is to become hard and you'll fail. You'll try to care less and you'll just become someone you don't like. But if you were chosen for being useful, the fix is completely different. It isn't about becoming colder, it's about becoming expensive. And that is a thing you can actually learn. So look back at whatever you were thinking about while you watched this. Don't ask whether that person is a bad person. You'll never settle that one. Ask the 2 questions that actually have answers. Am I seeing fewer people than I used to? And what happened the first time I said no? One question for you below. When it started, were you isolated or were you just useful? If this named something you've been circling for a while, subscribe. The next one names the tactics. Every one of them has a technical name, and the name is the thing that breaks it.